It's 7:45 on Sunday, October 8th, 2023, and I'm moving them to the fifth cell of the first section. The rotation that started Friday, which was October 6th. Yeah, that's got to be it. Here they are, they're coming. It is dewy, it's cold. I think it got into the 40s last night. It says the air is 65, but I don't believe it. I'm wearing a coat. My nose is chilly. It's much lower than 50, 65. Probably in the 50s somewhere, maybe close to the 40s. So, dew everywhere. I made the mistake of bringing my cowboy boots. Now they're soaked. They're soaked through them. My toes are wet. So, yeah, it's gonna warm up. I didn't check the weather report, but I vaguely recall it's gonna get up to like the 70s or the 80s. So it's gonna be a warm day today. It's just a cold night. The puppies are good. They're covered in the tarp. Mama's with them. I checked. Mama's has her back towards the entrance to the little tent I made for them. So she's keeping them warm, and I can hear them whimpering inside. So I didn't want to disturb them. Maybe this evening I'll open it up and see what they're doing. But yeah, look at 24. 24 is doing a lot better. My daughter made the comment last night. She said, "Dad, your cows are fat." That's a good thing. They're supposed to be skinny usually coming out of summer. Especially in a severe drought that we're still in, D2. Yes, we did get some rain recently. And no, if this was somewhere in the west, this would not be considered a drought. But for us, we're supposed to get an average of 36 inches of rain a year. And this is one of those years that the average is pulled downwards because of this year. Just like the last 2 years. So I was telling some of the workers in the food trailer that we didn't get much rain this year at all. And even if we got 2 inches a week for the rest of the year, we'd still be behind, I think. Because there's like 12 weeks left of the year. So yeah. So I said, we need 10 inches of rain. They're like, 10 inches, that cause flooding? I'm like, well, probably not in my pasture. Especially if it's spread out over a couple of days, it'd be fine, you know. But yeah, we're behind on the rain. Hopefully the winter will make up for it like it did last winter. So the dog is super happy for some reason. I think because the dog is no longer hot for the first time since summer started, you know. And he's covered in dew, so he's wet. The sheep, they have that lanolin. So even though they're exposed to water, they don't get wet. The water just comes off them. Dogs don't have it though. You can see. The dog was sniffing the cow's butt there. Well, I'm supposed to have 30 cows. I just counted 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 28. I counted 28 that time. Sometimes the calves are hiding behind their mamas. I can't see them. 1, 2. I'll have to count them next time. I haven't counted them for a while. 30 is just too many to count because they keep moving around. Oh, it's a beautiful morning. It's starting to warm up now that I'm in the sun. The good news, flight count is way down. I haven't seen a grasshopper in this area at all. At least not this morning. It could be too cold for them to jump around. I hope you guys can see that cow making her fertilizer donation. Thank you, number 19. I appreciate your sincere effort of keeping my grass cut and also of fertilizing the field for me. You can see the steam coming from their nostrils. Yeah, the cows are all in pretty good condition. Some of them are a little bit skinnier than I'd like, but coming out of this dry, hot summer, long, dry, hot summer, I can't complain. I have the grass to thank for that. Well, I've noticed in the chicken coop now, in the chicken area, there's grass growing. So the spring grass is coming in, or the cool season grass, I should say. The ryegrass apparently is like the perfect grass for cows. They love ryegrass. It just has the right balance of everything. And it's sweet to them too. So I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of ryegrass this autumn. Hopefully next spring we'll get a bunch. So we have, if you're wondering, like this grass that you're looking at here, this is all Bermuda grass, and there's little blades of something poking up. You see that little blade? I'm not sure what that is. You really need to see more of the grass to really identify it. You can't identify it from just a blade. There's also, I think wild onions looks like grass when it's young. So, where's it wild carrots? I don't remember. This one right here, I'm not sure what that is, but it looks a little bit like Indian grass, but the seed heads are different. So maybe it's blue stem or something like that, one of these native species. But that seems to be what Metal Tag was targeting there. So the native grasses to this area, they're all warm season grasses. They don't grow in the spring or in the fall. They grow in the summer. And one of the problems with the native grasses, I've said this before many times, is they leave woody stalks in the air. And those stalks, they contain nutrients that the next cycle of grass needs. And so you have to have some way of knocking that back down to the ground. And so some people, what they do is they burn their field, once a year, once every couple of years or whatever. I've looked into the science of burning fields and the practical. By science, I mean not just like what people think will happen if you burn your field, but what actually happens. And I've seen some people that swear by it. Other people said they did an experiment. They burned some of the field, they didn't burn the other field, and they found the grass comes back better in the field that wasn't burned. So the theory there is that the burning the field, it can actually injure the plants that are in the soil. It takes them longer to recover. I don't want to burn my field. I just don't feel confident doing it, so I probably won't do that. If it gets to a point where the weeds are too high, or if there's woody stalks, I'll just use a tractor to just shred it, knock it back down mechanically. Another thing is the weeds. So there's two schools of thought on the weeds as well. One thought is you have to burn it, you have to kill it, you have to put herbicide down, and you have to get rid of it. You just can't tolerate even a single weed, because once one weed takes root, you're going to have millions of weeds, right? The other school of thought is that the weeds are serving a purpose and they're actually helping to like bring balance to the soil. And in terms of a pasture, what that means is to make the soil more amenable to grass. The weeds, they grow fast. There's different kinds of soil or soil conditions that lead to weeds. One of the soil conditions that I was surprised to find out is if you have too much nitrogen in the soil, the weeds will explode, right? And use that stuff up and grow quickly. Well, those weeds, the problem is once that source of nutrients runs out, whether it's nitrogen or phosphorus or whatever it is you have too much in the soil of, weeds can't really thrive anymore. So some weeds, they thrive in soil that has too much of a good thing, right? Other weeds, they thrive in soil that doesn't have enough of a good thing, right? And still others, the only reason they're sprouting is because, like in the case of goatweed, if I had ground cover the whole year round, then the goatweed wouldn't even germinate. It needs direct sunlight. And so if I just leave, 4 to 6 inches of grass everywhere in my field, the goatweed can't grow. Now, when the goatweed does grow, it provides kind of ideal conditions, I think, for grass to grow in the heat. At the same time, I'd rather have something growing than nothing. I'd rather have weeds than bare ground. Of course, I'd rather have grass than weeds, but so since I don't know much about this stuff, and I don't know that people that claim to know actually know. It's the story of physics is a story of people questioning so-called experts. Galileo was a big, huge disciple of Aristotle, so he really thought Aristotle knew what he was talking about, and Aristotle was just the smartest thing in the world. And then this guy who was digging mines came to Galileo with a problem and said, "Hey, we can't pump water out of the mines once our pipes hit a certain height. We can't use a siphon or anything to get that water to come out of the mine." And they entreated Galileo to figure it out. Well, Galileo was busy, but he had his student Torricelli. And Torricelli looked at the problem, and he was the one that deduced that Aristotle was wrong, that nature might not like a vacuum, but it will create a vacuum. And so what these miners were doing was they were pumping the water to such a height that it created a vacuum. And you can't get any pressure lower than a vacuum, right? So obviously the solution is you put the pump lower, right? Instead of pulling the water, you have to push it up. So you can't use siphons because siphons rely on the pressure at the highest point being larger than zero, right? And so Torricelli did a lot of experiments with that, and turns out vacuums are pretty neat. You can do a lot of things with it, but that's a case where you had to distrust the experts, the people that you grew up being told knew what they were talking about, So that's why I'm not, like, people give me advice. They tell me what I need to do with my field and how it works and stuff. And some of these people I might admire and respect. They might have been doing this for generations, and they might have published textbooks and have scientific papers with their name on it. But along and the short of it is the beginning of science is the understanding that we don't really know anything, and trusting that nature will show you through experiment what works, right? What doesn't. So I'm letting this field go. I'm not really doing much with the weeds this year. I'm not doing anything at all, actually. Just rotationally grazing every 21 days. And we'll see what happens. It's an experiment. If it works, if the weeds all disappear next year and I have beautiful fields of grass up to my armpits, then I can tell people, like, hey, turns out it didn't need herbicides. I didn't need to shred the field. If it turns out that, next year the goatweed comes in even thicker and there's no grass at all, then I can say, well, it looks like you do need to shred your goatweed. Otherwise, it will take over your field and you won't get any grass at all. That's a risk I'm willing to take. you know. And I already told this, but back in the 90s, a reporter asked a particle physicist if CERN, you know, that's the big particle accelerator there in Switzerland, if it would create a black hole when they turned it on, right? And the physicist famously said, well, it's possible, you know. And so the reporter ran with the story saying that the physicists say we're going to create a black hole, you know. So maybe if I don't harvest or don't shred the goat weed, maybe I'm going to create a black hole, you know. I don't know. You know, maybe the atmosphere will catch fire. Everybody will die because of the goat weed, you know. Of course, I doubt that's going to happen, but, you know, it's a possibility. In the world of possibilities, it's possible, you know. Is it probable? Absolutely not, you know. But I do know that when the settlers first came here, they had fields of grass taller than a man. I have a joke about that, but I'm not going to tell it right now. They had fields of grass taller than a man, and they had bamboo fields. They had fertile soil. And I talked with an old timer, and he said they used to run 2 cows per acre. You know, no hay, just let the cows graze. That's how they used to do it back in the day. So that was closer to Houston, but still. To me, that says that we kind of messed something up here. Nature was doing something right, and we started poking at it, and we set something off course and made some imbalance, you know. It might turn out that Bermuda grass is the wrong answer. Maybe the native grasses are best. We'll see. You know, that's an experiment I can try another day. But right now, I just want to see what happens if I don't put any herbicides or pesticides, insecticides, any kind of those chemicals down, or fertilizer, except the natural kind. All right, guys, you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.